Hey guys, Anthony 4x4 Diesel. In this video, let's call it a summary or preliminary findings on the differences between the 1gd and the 1kd-Ftv, and you're going to start to see a little bit more of this one. You can see ours has now got the fancy red on the Toyota symbol, so you can clearly distinguish when we're doing a video and it's on our vehicle, because that could be handy information to know. I'm sure a lot of people pick up when it is, but I'm sure some people didn't notice, and now they'll know. Over the last few months, we've released a few videos. Look, over the last couple of years, we've released a lot of videos discussing and providing information on this engine, the 1gd-Ftv. And more recently, over the last few months, there's been a couple more where, because a lot of people in the comments, I do read all the comments, they're all held for review. If you're wondering why it didn't go up straight away, it's held for review. If you swear in there, it'll be unfortunate, because most of the time, unless you've really impressed me with your write-up, and then I'm struggling to not allow it to go up with a swear word, but if you could please refrain from swearing, because sometimes I want to put the comments up. If they're not there, just think about what you wrote. We don't need to write swear words. I don't swear in the videos. Now, one other quick note before we go ahead. I think I'm going to stick to videos and answering the questions in the videos. I've been replying to too many comments lately, and people take it's out of context, it's just text. You know, I'm riding away, laughing, having a giggle, all happy, and people think I'm angry and need anger management. And it's like, and I go back and read it and I go, mate, I think you've got problems, because, mate, this is all good from my perspective. So perspective is needed. I'm going to stick to videos. Sorry about that. This is the problem with comments. There's no expression or tone or anything like that with it. So just be careful of that one. We know lots of people watching own 1kd-Ftvs, and lots of people own 1gd-Ftv. So we're going to briefly go through the differences we've noticed between the two. What year models are the go, what year models aren't the go, and that sort of thing. There's a number of different bits of information, but I just need to put the camera down so I can concentrate. One of the first bits of information we probably should also address is pricing again. People asking, you know, what's the ticket price of the one we drove? How much is a new one? Well, what do you mean when you say new one? New 1GX, 1GXL, 1VX. Everybody's got a different option what they want, right? Now, when I provide information, it's up to me to provide them. If I want to bang on about how small this engine is, I'll bang on about it. No need to tell me not to. If you want to provide advice, feel free to go ahead and send a text to my mobile on, let's say, Tuesday afternoon at 3 p.m. Genuine feedback. You know, it's like, you know, when you're driving and you see we care about the driving, there's a phone number. Well, this is the we care about what your feedback is. So Tuesday afternoon, 3 o'clock, text message, and we'll read that and we'll take it on board. So if it's constructive criticism, no problem at all. But like I said, it's just a matter of, I'm going to talk about what I'm going to talk about. If I'm going to talk this engine here, this is, in my opinion, of course, and my opinion's only, I work on these every day. I own multiple of vehicles. We buy and sell a few. So we've been through a lot of different experiences. We use them on trips. What would I know? But in my opinion, a 2755cc engine is way too small for a very large Toyota Land Cruiser LC 150. We're not going to bang on about it too much, but this is a 3-litre engine, very close to 3 litre. It's a 120 Prado, so it's smaller, lighter, it's narrower, it's more aerodynamic and lighter with a bigger engine, and I don't care what the numbers say. We've done the test. This vehicle accelerates onto the freeways better. It holds speed at hills and undulations at 100k speeds better without torque converters unlocking and all the carry-on in the other engine. Now, for those people thinking, so do I go and buy a new Prado now? Don't do it yet. That's what the headline of the last video said. It said, don't buy it yet. Now, read the comments. There's a couple of people, at least, we might go through them in a minute, that have mentioned that they've gone ahead and done the upgrade and sort of wish they didn't, and they're not impressed, that sort of thing. So, same as when, you know, there's one person that said it's changed from, somebody did a YouTube video that said it's gone from 14 seconds, 0 to 100 down to 10. That is a massive difference. That is not accurate. That cannot be accurate. So I don't know how that, I wasn't there. But when you do your testing and comparisons, you've got to be fair and accurate, and that's what we do. And I can guarantee you, if somebody's saying that 0 to 100 went from 14 seconds down to 10, 4 seconds quicker from the remap vehicle, you know, different turbo and whatever, it's just not accurate, okay? So if you want accurate info, keep watching. This vehicle, for example, we have lined it up with a Hilux 1GD that's stock standard, you know, rugged X out of the box. lighter than this. It's about 2,400 kilos with a light driver with a smaller fuel tank. This 120, fully modified, it's heavy, 2,800 kilos, it's about 400 kilos heavier. And at 10 sets of lights, 0 to this speed limit, it blew the doors off the Rugged X. It was looking in the rearview mirror at the Rugged X back there. What's going on? People come in our 150 and they say, it feels like the handbrake's stuck on. That's because they're used to coming in the 120. That's just fact of the matter. That's not on the dyno. That's not going by the numbers. That's seat of the pants, acceleration, real world testing compared to another vehicle in the same conditions right next to it, okay? The 120 disadvantage. Now, in my video where I said there's 4 different aspects, I'm not going to go through it again, that I explained, and 2 of them were positives, comparing the new 1GD remap. I'm going to call it the remap to keep it simple. So don't worry about commenting going, oh, you know, it's not just a remap and all that. We know what it is. I'm talking general, right? The old, and I'll call it the old one. The old one is like a 2017, 18, 19. We've got a 2019 that hasn't got the remap, right? So we'll call it the old one. That's what we mean when we say the old one. So comparing the two, there's 2 aspects that are exactly the same and 2 aspects where I was impressed. Now, even though I tested that vehicle for about an hour, okay, about an hour driving, and I wasn't making a video while I was driving, I was concentrating on the vehicle, because you can't concentrate on your conversation and the vehicle at the same time. Okay, so even though I've done that, and I've provided you preliminary findings in that video, and I will more in this, it doesn't, there's no conclusion. Did I say conclusion? There's no conclusion yet. So we ordered one months ago. We've got to wait just like everybody else. Eventually it will turn up. We'll do some testing stock standard as we did with our 2019 when it was new. And as we add all the same modifications to the vehicle, it'll be the same setup. We'll provide feedback, and within a few months I'll have further preliminary, almost conclusive results on, and I will say, I'll come out, in this video I'm going to tell you some of the pros and cons between the 2 engines. This here, the 1kd, which at the moment I'm saying, keep it at the moment. Don't go buy a 1GD. I know a lot of people already got one. Each to their own. Whatever you've done, you missed that message, or you think it. My message is for those that are watching that are thinking about, they've got a 2014 1kd and they go, oh, it's getting a bit old. Mate, keep it. Read the comments. Look, you've either got to trust my opinion from working on them, whatever. I'm going to go through the pros and cons of both in a moment, but I hope you understand what I mean. We need more time to give you more of a conclusive result on whether, you know, I've got to say, when I pick on the 2009, it's a beautiful vehicle. So look, you can't really go wrong buying a Prado, any Prado. There you go, you can't go wrong. 1kz, 1kd, the V6, you can't go wrong. But you need to understand what the problems are that have been caused by people. They're Toyotas. They're not Toyota problems. They're all generally caused by people. I shouldn't say all of them, because, you know, the timing chain guide, whatever the issue is in the 1GD with the timing chain, that's not caused by people, unfortunately. That's a problem with the engine, right? So basically sit tight, wait, don't do anything yet. This is one of those videos that's going to be all over the place, left and right, this engine, that engine, lots of mixed information. Okay, it could be a longer one, but it's all information for those that want it. It's available in here. Watch the videos, and right now I'm going to remind you, parts day's Monday. If you do need parts, any of those kits we do for the Prados, 1kds, Hilux 1kds, injector kits and that, Monday morning, 7:30, 8 AM, text message only, the number. Keep watching videos, you'll find it. Okay, pricing. So back to the pricing question. Okay, I'll give you a few examples. There's no point me giving you pricing, because at the moment, you don't get a discount. They can't get enough Prados. Production has been cut from, look, I don't know if it was 900 per day, month or year, in what state, in what country, whether it's Australia or whatever, but I'll give you an example. One of the numbers given to me from a reliable source was 900's been cut down to 550. They're not getting, because of restrictions, electronics and shortages around the world on components, around the world, you know what I mean? Because of these shortages and COVID causing problems, there's shortages of things which has slowed everything down. We've got a shortage of injectors. There is a worldwide shortage of injectors. As I've said before, it doesn't mean we've run out. We haven't run out. We're good to go. So I'll suggest all the people with the older vehicles, I've said it before 2010, you need them urgently. 120 Prados, Hilux is up to September 09. Get all over it. If you've got a later one, if you're urgent, get them. If not, maybe just wait. The one way to know that you're not going to get shafted on injectors is to buy them off me. You're going to get brand new, genuine, none of the other things where you can get caught out. Watch the other videos. Back onto the topic here, pricing. So the GX, for example, in one video I said it's costing us $5 more. Now this is the funny thing. Even though in 18 months our price went up, and it's a discounted price. So a GX I think is about 67 grand, okay? Currently that is the, you know, a bit over 67 is a list price. I think that's drive away. GX is what you want. GX, if you watch my video comparing that why the GX is better than the GX, again, each to their own, I understand that. But I'm trying to explain from a touring perspective, when you take everything into account, hey, we all love a bit of extra luxuries on some aspects, but you don't need it. And the GX has got more luxury and everything you need than a GXL had a few years ago, if you know what I mean. So it's all got carpet and everything. You know, you're not getting anything. You know, you can pay a lot more money for electronics that are going to let you down later. So the GX costing us $5 more at our usual discount than what the last one cost us. Not only that, a month or two into the order, there's a price rise, so it costs us another $1,000, right? So it's about another $6 grand. I'm not complaining about the price, I'm just telling you what it is, right? So if you order one, there's no guarantee when you're going to get one. There's no guarantee that your price is going to stay the same unless it's full price. And if it's full price and the price goes up, well, your full price goes up as well, because that's how they slow sales down as well. If they're going to sell less to make the same money, they need to make more per car. Supply and demand, right? Simple mathematics. So this is another good reason not to buy one at the moment, because you're paying a premium. If everyone keeps pressuring and buying, the prices just keep going up. Everybody needs to go, you know what, I'm going to stick with what I've got. I'm going to buy a few parts. I'm going to do some work. It's going to be cheaper for me anyway. I'm going to learn about the vehicle. I will let you know when the time is to make your purchase. I don't know the price of a GXL. It's about, I don't know, it's about, what is it, 73, 74, 75? I don't know, what is it, 10 grand more than a GX? Something like that. I've been through the comparisons in other videos, so we're not going to go there. I don't know the pricing of all these things, right? And my price is different. You're not going to get my price. I get my price because I'm me, and even though there's a shortage, I get my price. And some other people might get a special price as well, and they probably shouldn't share it at the moment because most people aren't going to get a special price. They're going to get full list retail, full rip-off. So the full price with no discount, plus the price rises. So you actually, okay, I'll give you an example. 2 years ago, you could buy a brand new GXL for 60 grand. You could get a GXL for 60 grand, right? There's plenty of people that have. Now, you're going to be paying about 72 if you're getting a bit of a discount. That's 12 grand more in less than 2 years. It's just ridiculous, okay? They are good cars though, so if you want to stick with the best, some people seem to think, yeah, you know, I'll show you a few problems on cars, mainly caused by people and lack of maintenance, or people using the wrong parts, doing the wrong thing, and they go, Toyotas are crap, you know, they're not what they used to be. No, wrong. They're awesome. They're what they used to be and even better. There's a few things that aren't quite perfect. I think we've kind of debugged or demythed the, you know, the whole dusted airbox thing. We've hammered this airbox, this one over here on this vehicle. If you watch the videos on our other channel, a lot of them could be on our 4x4 Adventures channel. So we've got two channels, and you can see we use the vehicles, okay? We use them extensively, and we push them and do some bit of, I suppose, testing. And that's how, it's not just, we're not just here to, somebody's paying us like an ad to sell you whatever. We use the products we use, we choose. Nobody's come to us and said, hey, you need this, you know, and if they do, we'll take it, we'll test it, and if we don't like it, we'll tell them, and if we like it, we'll go, hang on, well, this is all right, we'll use it, and then we'll organise some for our friends and family and whatever. Actually, we're all happy with this. Then for the close clients and customers, friends, we'll say, look, you know, you can try this if you like. It's a new thing, we've only been using it a year or two, you can try it, they try it. When everyone's happy, then we say, hey, this is proven awesome, and you know, and of course you're going to get some bad stories about whatever brand from someone somewhere because they got it somewhere else and they chose the wrong selection for their vehicle, or the wrong installation, whatever the case may be. But look, if we use brands that are reliable and value for money, we like value for money. So that's why I'm doing these videos, trying to help you understand these engines. I think we need to get on to some of the pros and cons of, we sort of covered the 1GD, the old and the new. We're not sure yet. Mainly, I think the transmission software is improved and it holds lock a lot better, which is showing the feel of the delivery of power is better, the power and the torque. So there may be not a lot difference in the engine. This thing here, it can only be more fuel at different times and for longer or shorter and all that sort of thing. That's all you can really do. That's the only way you can get a bit more power out of it, you know, a bit more boost or a bit more fuel pressure or a bit more, all tuning, mapping. That's what remaps, tuning, all this is all about, right? So that's why I call it a remap, because that's what it's all about. Yeah, it's got a different turbo and whatever, but you know, even with the other turbo, you can give it more boost or whatever. So the new turbo maybe and probably is better. We're not into that stage yet, but I hope you understand it's still the same engine. It's still 2755cc. To get more power and torque, you've got to change the tuning, which puts more pressure on the engine, on the little engine. Okay, let's get over to comparing a little bit between the 1gd and the 1kd. Before we move on to the pros and cons of the two engines in a bit more detail after a lot of use and extensive testing of both, I just want to read you one of these comments, and it says, and it's in relation to the newest 1gd. The gearbox in this thing really is a joke. Terrible setup. It's like they never drove it when doing real world calibration and doesn't utilise the engine upgrade. So I'm sort of a little bit disagreed with that so far, but I'll read on. In my opinion, this update overall is a lazy effort by Toyota. If I knew what I know now back at upgrade time, you had a 1kd 2015, and this is what I've previously said in this video. So these people stick around and listen to my videos, get the accurate information. Right, so he had a 1kd 2000. Mate, keep it. It would have been my advice. Anyway, would I have brought a new one? No, definitely not. Lesson here is not to assume the new is better than the old, and to have an overnight test drive to get a real feel for the car. I love that comment. That is just so spot on, and this is what I'm trying. This is why I'm doing these videos. This is why the video was called "Don't Buy Yet Wait." This is why I'm making this video now. Who hung around this long? Please press the like button. If you haven't already, subscribe, turn the bell on. I don't know why we've got so many people not subscribed. They're still watching, and they won't hit that subscribe button. Hit it, dude. Do yourself a favor. Do me a favor too. Anyway, I just think that comment was really awesome. And I'm going to have a look through. There's a couple others in line with that. I must read you this other comment. It was to do with the reviewer. A YouTube reviewer, like I said, you got to be careful who you listen to. And I note that a lot of you guys and girls are listening to a number of people. There's some people that I'm pretty well agreed with on a lot of things, and there's some that just, I don't know where they get their information. So general rule, I say listen to me. Of course I'm going to say this, but you know, you tell me. Listen to me, stop listening to other people. Do they work on the vehicles? Just ask yourself a question. Do they own multiple of the vehicles? Have they owned many more of the vehicles? Do they know everybody they know, talk to, own the vehicles, use the vehicles? Do they use them on trips? Long trips, short trips, day trips, weekend trips, week trips, month trips that go for months? Have they done extensive use? And when they're not doing that, are they in the workshop looking at them, working on them? There's nobody that works on these specific vehicles like I do, okay? And a lot of the information from these vehicles can be translated, whether it's aftermarket accessories. If they work well for us, they're probably going to work well on your Pajero or your Isuzu MUX, whatever the case may be, okay? It's just we choose the best. Sorry, okay, look, you know, MUX, that's cool, the driveline, the mechanical side of it, but it's an MUX. We're after the whole vehicle quality, if you know what I mean, and the quality isn't the same. We like the vehicle, it's a bit cheaper, save you some money and all that. Hey, in the comment, if you are driving another make or model and you change from a Prado, please be honest and put a comment there and let us know how happy you are with your decision, whether you do the same again or whether you kind of miss your Prado and you want to go back. But let's read the rest of it. A YouTube reviewer compared acceleration runs in the pre and post revamped 2.7. That's right, it's almost closer to 2.7 than to 2. I hope that was trying to be funny. 2.8, 2.7. It's 2755cc, so it's halfway to a 2.8. And found the new model reduced the 0 to 100 from 14 to 10 seconds, which is a significant reduction. But it obviously ain't no hot rod. Okay, I'm just going to put my comment in there. Just not possible. Just didn't happen. I might even do my own little 0 to 100 test. We've got the 1gd there still at the moment. It is sold. Should be gone in about a week. You know, these things take time. Something along those lines. We may do that test, and we may then do the test in the new one. It's virtually stock standard. The only thing it's got left on it is the roller roof flat platform. It's got BFG all-terrain tyres and it's got a dual battery setup. That's about it really, you know, it's got the tinted windows and the GXL side steps, a couple other little things like that, but it's basically stock standard. So once we get those tyres onto the new vehicle, to be fair, we're not going to do it on road tyres. We can do it on road tyres, but it's going to be different. So this is where, to be fair, I better continue, keep reading anyway, because that is just, it just can't be. You know, the too good to be true, it just can't be. I'd be surprised if it was more than about a second. I drive my vehicle, I drove the test vehicle. If I took off 0 to 100, to me it feels, the time and the feel, the whole, it feels about the same, okay? About the same on acceleration. That's your power, not your torque, I suppose. I'll keep reading now. Is obviously no hot rod. I have a new Prado and the engine characteristics compare very favourably against my 3.2 Ranger. So there you go, he likes it better than the Ranger. The Prado feels a lot more responsive, and the Ranger 6-speed is garbage. So you want some feedback on Rangers? I try not to talk badly about other makes and models. I stick with the good stuff, and I give you the good news, but the problem is I give you the bad news. So understand that when you're watching the videos and we're saying, oh, you know, this is not good, that's not good. I'm giving you to help you avoid those situations. Anyway, I better keep reading. The Prado feels a lot more responsive, and the Ranger 6-speed is garbage, but has a great step off from standing start. So it's off the mark pretty good. Probably why they have disposable gearboxes. Maybe it's the gear ratios, whatever. Look, they're just probably garbage gearboxes, but it's got a good gear ratio maybe, so it performs well, but because it's garbage, it just doesn't last. These transmissions, even in the 1GD 2009, even though I'm not happy with the software and the way it behaves, it's an awesome transmission. So don't get me wrong, it's not a rubbish transmission in any of the Toyotas. Awesome stuff. Now, and that's what's in the MUX, okay? The same 6-speed, awesome stuff, right? I said driveline, engine's good too. Anyway, reading this garbage, standing up, probably what they're doing. I think the throttle delay from standing in the Prado is a drivetrain protection feature to reduce load on the drivetrain. You are probably correct, because this is the sort of thing Toyota take into account. So I just had to read that one. And look, I put a comment there that's probably wrong as well, because I'm commenting to the 0 to 100 inaccurate information, because I want people, if you're reading, I want people to think, and that's why I'm doing this video. I want people to think. Don't read too much in it. Read the comments. If it makes sense, then it makes sense. You just got to watch it sometimes when you see something that's too good to be true. In South Africa, they're paying $90,000. Talk about ripped off was one of the comments. A little bit of off-topic information for a moment. Someone comments that someone's bull bars mounted too high and would hit guards on corrugated roads. That's probably not what the video is about and not what I spoke about and took into account, but we have spoken about it before. So just briefly, I want to say the gap you need along the headlights and the guard here, specified by ARB and Toyota on different bull bars, generally is about 20 to 30 millimeters. I'd suggest 20 is a good number. What happens here is you've got a big heavy bar, in this case, mounted to the front of the chassis, which is about 2 millimeters thick. It wobbles around quite a bit, which means these sections here come up and they can hit those flares there and smash them off, sort of thing. So you need to make sure you've got a specified distance on your guards. Now let's get back to this video and these engines. Now this is a real question we wanted to get to. Hey mate, new to the channel, really enjoying the videos. Actual question, do you think they should have just continued to improve the KD instead of going to the GD, or was it too old? Okay, so this is kind of what inspired this video, and we've finally got to the point. And for the people that hang around, hey, thank you, thank me, thank you. Okay, this is the deal, all right? The 1kd. Better look at a 1kd while we're talking about a 1kd. 1kd-Ftv. It's the same engine in the Hiluxes, the 120 and the 150 Prado from about 05 in the Hilux. It came out first, 05. Halfway through 06, they changed to having the EGR cooler. That's that, for the people that don't know, that rectangular box there instead of just the pipe. The Prados didn't get that in Australia. They only got the pipe. They only got in 05 to halfway through 06 in the Hiluxes. Then halfway through 06, the 120 got the 1kd-Ftv. What you're looking at before that, it had the 1kz in there still. Okay, and then around September 09, the 120 changed to the 150. Same engine still, different. When I say different fuel system, different injectors and software type thing. So they do run a little bit different, sound a bit different. They're a lot quieter. The injectors are better again. They change injectors, they are better, and they change them again later, and they're full DLC, and they change them again later, and lots of improvements. But it's not about injector improvements along the way. But this is why I say 14, 15 last are the best, really. But I love the 120s. They're smaller, lighter, they fit through spaces a bit better. I like the 120s. There's a lot of reasons. I've got other videos on that, and I'll probably do another one in the future. But this one is, what's the problem with the 1kd, and then what's the problem with the 1gd, I suppose. Now, this engine here, there's nothing really wrong with it. It's a good engine. There's no regular problems that they have if the correct maintenance and my guides are followed, generally. The thing we can't control, I've said it before, I haven't said it for a long time, is fuel contamination. You can't control that one, okay? So I'm gonna briefly tell you that from all the vehicles with cracked pistons that I follow up on, there's always a reason. And the king of all the reasons why these engines crack pistons, far beyond all others, is people have remaps, tunes, chips, this sort of thing, and usually combined with old flogged injectors because they spent their money. You know, you've got to do the heart surgery before you get the Botox, okay? Maybe I'll call this video that, get the heart surgery, nah, because it's totally on other topics. But I purposely made this one a longer one with a lot of information. So, there's no real issue here. What the issue is, injectors are wear and tear items, and your everyday punter, like yesterday, I saw a vehicle, I walked out of a shopping centre, and it went past, you know, it was a 120. I'm just thinking, these old people, and they're all over the place, these sorts of cars, they got no idea, right? And this is the point, while you're not towing a caravan around Australia, you'll get away with that, right? It's running terribly. It's a tough engine. It's 12 years old, it's done 300,000, 400,000 Ks, it's running terrible, blowing smoke and knocking away, and there's no issue, right? Just about every time there's an issue is when someone is towing. So you got to combine that heavy load. So when someone says, oh mate, I've got a remap and I'm running this much and it's got EGTs, and I don't give a stuff about any of that, because all you do is go to work, right? You go to work and back, you go somewhere on the weekend camping 100 Ks away, you're not touring Australia. It seems to be the Prados do more of the touring Australia. I'm not saying Hiluxes never crack pistons and they don't tour, but it seems to be a lot more Prados than Hiluxes are ones towing caravans, okay? It's a fact, it is. It's not just seems like that, it is a fact. We go out there, we're out there all the time. Chung, 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 Prados, there's other makes and models, because people hear, you know, I'll give you the bad news, how to prevent it, and people go, oh, heap of crap, let's go get an MUX, and that's fine, because that helps reduce the load on Toyota, and for us people that want to buy the best. And if you haven't got the best, that's cool, because your MUX is awesome also. Awesome vehicle, okay? We'd certainly take one of those if we couldn't get a Prado. No issue. Just looks a bit, you know. Anyway, back on topic. What's wrong with this engine? So the problem mainly is people following the marketing crap they hear from other people and on Facebook and wherever it pops up, all this social media, free advertising these days, and they follow this hype and they go and get all those accessories, including the remaps and the chips and whatever. And a lot of these people, they can't do the basics properly. You've seen it in our videos. They can't even do a damn oil change or something without wrecking sump plugs. Simple things, you know. They can't even put a bash plate on without, you know, not cross-threading the bolts. So what hope have you got when you take it to them to do tuning? They think they know what they're doing, right? Because they got sold this software and all the gear from someone that said, you know, we'll train you how to do it, and they give them a crash course for 2 hours. I don't know what's going on, but there's a lot of tuners that seem to think they do know what they're doing, and they may, that also say there's plenty of tuners that don't know what they're doing. So let's just run with the majority of the tuners don't know what they're doing. So there's one of your biggest problems, chips, tunes. The next one would be people that just don't know the old flogged injectors, and they hit Google and they find out the information when it's too late, okay? So that's the other one. For the ones where you go, for example, I'll tell you the truth how it is, right? So recently, not that recent, we had one guy who was on a trip with us. The vehicle had only done a bit over 100,000 Ks, 2014, towing a massive caravan. I'll tell you, it'll be on its weight limit or over, right? Not too fussed about, you know, whatever, it's what it is, right? By the time you have that big Prado 150 with all the bull bar, all the roof, all the kids, the family, all the gear in the car, all the gear in the caravan, because you're traveling Australia with a big caravan, it's gonna be overweight, mate. And even if it's not, it's close enough, it's fully loaded, right? So When you've got some wear and tear, probably because of contamination, and there's a couple of different ways. It could be the fuel you got. It could be you thought you did the right thing taking it to Toyota and they bent the fuel lines back, contamination of the injectors at 40 or 80 or 120 or whatever. But the point is, I was reminded by someone privately that, remember on the trip, okay, so this guy, he cracked a piston, right? Towing the caravan, of course. He did quite a bit of tow the caravan in the lead up, a few pre-trips and that sort of thing. But when we're in Broken Hill, we're going to the pub for dinner one night, and I didn't remember it, but I picked it. I said, look, that's blowing, look at that smoke it's blowing, you know? And you know, it was around about the 7 years, right? So it's like, yeah, it's the 7-year 170 thing. I would have liked to get more out of them, but I suspect that maybe the contamination was at maybe an 80,000k service at, you know, the pipe's being bent back, that sort of thing. And because this is always, when we trace it back, I've said this before, so there's no issue with this engine. You need to do the maintenance, you need to do the oil, the coolant, you need to keep clean filters and sensors, and they don't have issues. The only issue is the EGR system, which some people still don't get it. They're going, oh no, nothing wrong. You need a good catch can. You can get a catch can if you like, but I've explained in other videos, the catch can only supposedly catches the oil vapors and its moisture, which that amount of moisture in that amount of cubic meters of air going through the engine is not even worth talking about. You don't need a catch can. The problem is the exhaust gas recirculation. The catch can does nothing for that. You will have dry, abrasive exhaust gases going through your engine, and that is part of the emission rules. So I'm not going to talk about that anymore. That's not a problem with the engine. That's a problem with all engines because it has to be on there to meet those emissions, right? So there's no point going there saying that's a problem. There's a solution, okay? And you watch the other videos and you choose what solution. We've talked about in other videos. So there's no real engine issues here, okay? They can make a better noise. They're an older diesel engine than a 1GD. We're not getting to that yet. So they are certainly noisier. It's a very old engine, really. It's been around for about 20 years now, so it is old. So we did need a new engine. I think the 1kd is a really awesome engine. That's why I chose it. That's why I own it. That's why this one isn't going anywhere. And to be quite honest, I might even have another one soon. We'll see what happens. But stay tuned, subscribe, turn the bell on, right? And you'll see and what we do with that. But, you know, there's no actual issue here. So they crack pistons, but then so do other engines with pistons that look exactly the same. And, you know, if there was an issue with a piston in an engine that came out 20 years ago, in Australia in 05 and it's 2020, and in other countries I still believe they use 1kds longer than what we got them in Australia, and they still crack pistons in other countries with the latest revision pistons, you know, all these changing in pistons trying to make them stronger. If it was the piston, it's in the documents. I'm not talking about, you know, too much detail in that. The injectors cause wrong combustion. It's written by Toyota. They're trying to make the piston more robust. There's a more so by making it stronger, they're not saying there's a problem with the casting or anything wrong with the other pistons. They're just saying they're trying to make it stronger because when you've got a combustion problem, you know, well, the other way to try and avoid it is try and make the piston stronger. In all their efforts, it's unavoidable in some circumstances, which it only makes sense that there's a reason, and the reason is going to be you've got some bad fuel, or you've got some contamination from your pipes being bent back, or whoever did your injector replacement job, which is why I always say, just get us or one of our recommended workshop partners to do it. Get the parts from us. At least you're halfway there. Get in the VIP group. Watch the videos. Learn how to do it yourself, so then you know it's done right. Now, if you shouldn't be touching spanners, don't do that. But a lot of people watching are DIY types. They are slightly, at least mechanically apt, and they're teachable. They can watch the videos. They can learn. Okay? So, there's no real issue here, you know. It's, you know, what happens with these engines? Well, nothing except they can crack pistons, which is 99 point. I've said it before in another video. So someone say it for me. 99999. I don't know how many 9% avoidable, right? So there's no issue here. What the issue is, it is getting old. We need a new engine that's more efficient. We need an engine that, if we can, have some more power. From technology, they learn better ways to make things flow better, lighter, whatever the case may be, better machining practices, more efficiency. That's what we need. We need to use less fuel and we need more power. Not all the time. What it means is by having a more efficient engine, when you're running it at lower, when you're asking less of it, let me try and explain it in simple terms, it'll be more efficient, it'll use less fuel. But then when you put the foot down, it'll use more fuel than this, because it can, it's got the capability to, and it can make more power or torque. That's what we do need. So there's got to be a time that comes that we can upgrade to something. But I'm not sure that the new engine, you know, there was the problems with all the DPFs, the timing chain, all this sort of thing now. So the conclusion is there's no issue here. I don't have a problem with it. It's cheap maintenance. You can put a timing belt on there for 88 bucks when it comes to 150,000 Ks if you like. You know, we recommend the BFE because we give recommendations for reliability. We've got the BFE kit available. You know, just to recap on that, it's a bit over 700 bucks worth to your door. Timing belt, idler, tensioner, cam seal, water pump, the drive belt, the bearings, just every moving part on the front of the engine, every 150k. So it's going to cost you, if you do it yourself, it's going to cost you 700 or 800. It's going to, with coolant, that's going to cost you a bit over 800 bucks if you do it yourself. In a workshop that knows what they're doing, it's going to cost you, depending which vehicle you've got, if it's a 1 or 2 piece water pump, it's going to cost you 1,500 to 2 grand to have it done properly with all the proper cleaning, like what we do, you know, take some pride in your work and do it properly type thing, rectify other issues while you're in there from whoever's worked on it previously. So there's no big maintenance on this engine. The timing belt, it's simple, it's reliable, they don't break, they don't let you down, okay? They don't let you down, right? So there's no issue there. That's cheap. Oh, you got to check the valve clearances every 40,000. No, well, you don't actually. You check the valve clearances when you do your injectors, and they'll be okay, unless you've had a catch can there, perhaps. And if you do have to change the valve clearances, yes, you've got to pull your timing belt. It's quite a big job to adjust the valve clearances, right? So they're the possibilities. You've got injectors that need to be replaced because they wear out. You've got injector seats that aren't going to last forever. And you've got a timing belt maintenance, and you've got to check your valve clearances. And the engines are a little bit noisy. They are an older design, but they're awesome. I don't have a problem with it. Time to move over to the 1GD. Here we go. Right, 1gd-Ftv 2019. Now, firstly, new engines. You don't jump, oh look, you know, there's a 300 series LC300, you know, get the new VC. Look, there was problems with the 200 series early days. You wait. There's problems with, a lot of people didn't have problems with 1GDs. A lot of people didn't, so don't think the Toyota's a rubbish thing, right? There's so many of them. So you're going to hear about more problems for a start because they're the majority, mate. They're the leader. They're the best vehicle, okay? But when they bring out something new, there's always a possibility of issues. DPF issues were going around for a decade before Toyota were forced to have it in their vehicle. Subarus, I've mentioned before, Mazdas, Nissans, whatever, right? People that did short trips copped it the worst. That's why a vehicle with a DPF is not really suitable for people that do constant short trips. It doesn't really get to do a good burn. But then again, with the right software, which this may be it, we wouldn't know because we don't do short trips. We do highway trips to hopefully to avoid problems. So what do? We waited 4 years. So from 15 to 19, 4 years, watching the DPF problems, watching the timing guide issues, whatever, timing chain issues, right? Timing issues, we'll call it. What else was there? I'm probably forgetting, but that's about it. They're not a heap of junk or anything like that. They're too small. I wasn't excited about that. Let's wait and see how that goes. But being a Prado specialist, a Prado business, Prado Hilux, whatever, we need to work through the newer versions of things. You don't learn more than by owning one yourself, right? What's normal, what the characteristics are. We've got videos on all the normal readings of injector readings, and I think we'll do another one on this one if we have time, about a 10-minute video showing you what the injector diagnostic readings look like at 60,000 Ks. Now, so what's the problems with this engine? Okay, so it's smaller. Is it going to last? We don't know. Probably, but we don't know. It's probably going to last a long time, right? With the one with the remap. You know, I'm just telling you, the remap is in Toyota remap, the new one. Is it going to last? Look, it's got a lot more under pressure. Is that going to last? Well, we don't know. That it hasn't been out a long time, has it? Right? We don't know. Probably is. It probably is going to last fine. You got to trust Toyota a little bit. They know what they're doing more than what, we can only go by results. Okay? They are the engineers. They supposedly do a lot of testing. So you've got to put some trust into it. Now, the fact that we've had trouble-free motoring, no timing, chain issues, or DPF issues in 60,000 Ks. But take note, highway kilometres, heaps of burns. It's got the latest software. Does a burn every 300 Ks average, right? As we mentioned before. So that's a lot of burns, too many, and they go for way too long. So it's probably got the cleanest DPF in the world, and it's probably going to last forever because of the conditions it's looked after in. Understand, it's not just the driving you do for the burn, it's also the driving you do for the soot that fills up the DPF, right? So once you start the engine, you're on the highway, you're at cruising altitude, it's running clean. If you're doing short trips, stop, start, cold start, stop, start driving, it's going to create more soot. You know, think about your typical old diesel. When did it blow smoke? When it was cruising along at 80 k's no load, or every time it took off at the lights, or when it came to a hill and that sort of thing, right? So that's my point. These run a lot cleaner, but if they're going to make any soot, any diesel particulate, we should call it, because that's what it is, a DPF, diesel particulate filter, right? If it's going to make it, it's going to make it when the engine's cold. So all the cold starts. That's what fills it up quicker. And then if you happen to be doing one of those short runs when it wants to do a DPF burn and it gets interrupted 8 times because it's got to go for 20 minutes and 40 k's or something, and you're doing 2k trips taking the kids to school and back, and it keeps starting to burn, stopping to burn, it's like, could you imagine, it's like, think of wet paint, right? You know, oh, here it is, it's starting to interrupt, and then the paint dries, and then you start painting and you've got to join onto the half-dried paint. It starts again, or maybe it's fully dried, whatever. You know, you get my picture? Just sort of try and think of it like that. So it's got a DPF. So do your circumstances suit a DPF? Can you sort of, you've got to manage it a little bit. Well, maybe you don't. With the 300k software that's only been out a couple of years, maybe there's going to be no more DPF issues. Maybe that's the case. I don't know. It's only been a couple of years. I've got one example of no issues. We've got a group hashtag 1gd-Forever crew. Ask around in there. I do that every now and then to see what the results are. There's people that have got 2015s that have never had an issue, and there's people that have got 2018s that do have issues. Nothing but headaches. I waited until they changed the look of the vehicle. I didn't like the front, you know, the headlights and that. 2019, it looked better. I waited for that. I waited for a better warranty. The 3-year warranty it was too risky in my opinion to only, if you buy a vehicle and you set it up, you spend all this money and you've got to sell it within the warranty period because you're nervous. 3 years, it's not worth it, if you know what I mean. Once they came out with a 5-7 year warranty, I went, okay, that's a positive. They changed the look of the vehicle. The back looks good, the lights and all that. The front headlights looks great. I like the look of it. Okay, that's a positive. They've been out 4 years. That's a positive. Okay, let's risk it. That's what we did. We've had no issues. 2 or 3 times we've had a P0400 similar code come up. You may have seen a video on that on either this or our other channel. We may do another video on it. Subscribe, turn the bell on. Look, EGR flow related. I don't know why it didn't have any issues all the way until it got to maybe 50,000 Ks. Maybe that would tell us that the EGR system is starting to cake up a little bit. I've seen some photos of some other 1GDs from one of our workshop partners where they put the camera in and had a look. So what we're going to do to have a same comparison is we're going to go in, I'm going to let them put their camera in and get the photos so we compare their vehicles which are low Ks and up there, and one without a plate and one, you know, cars with and without plates and that sort of thing. And we're going to have a look up this one. It may be in a video, it may be on one of our Facebook pages, depends if it's photos or a video we get to do. I might do a video showing the photos, we'll just see what happens there. But you know, there could be some random, that's why it's always worth having that AutoFix 3210 from Trevor Ryan, Dirt Road 4x4 and Werribee, or whatever device you want to use to be able to monitor and clear codes. It was just a matter of quickly clearing the code, but it has also happened once since we got back from our last big trip. So a little bit concerning that at 60,000 Ks with the sort of life the vehicle's had, awesome servicing, highway Ks, you know, it's done 60,000 in less than 2 years, lots of regular services and oil changes and in between oil changes and stuff, and it can do something like that. So just be careful of the technology. We don't see 1kds going into limp mode at 60,000 Ks. We never did. Okay, the only reason they may go into limp mode, sometimes the turbo, the 1251 or the 0046. Okay, so look after your turbo. Oil changes, let it idle, keep things clean, watch out for that EGR soot, follow all the recommendations, watch all the videos, and you're going to avoid that. And it's very rare anyway. But the point is, everybody in every vehicle should have a device like the AutoFix 3210. So check out AutoFix Australia. That's Trevor's website, I think, autofixaustralia.com.au maybe. Anyway, Trevor Ryan, Dirt Road 4x4. You'll find him on Facebook. Just hit him on Messenger, Trevor Ryan. Say, hey, Anthony told me to hit you on Messenger for a 3210. Bada bing, and I think Oz Prado Crew, I think you might get a discount, and if you ask nicely, he might even do free delivery. Anyway, so this engine, what are the, so there's some possibilities. There's possibilities they're still going to have timing chain issues. Now, understand, a timing belt, you replace it. We know the situation, we talked about that. When the timing chain or guides on this engine, it's much more extensive work. So you're getting into the engine to muck around with timing chains and guides and stuff like that, okay? Now DPFs, if you have an issue later down the track, they can be expensive to clean and expensive to replace, okay? It's not a cheap exercise. They've still got injectors. Don't think you're immune to replacing injectors. They are going to be good injectors. They're going to last long, just like the last of the 1kd, you know, the 2015, full DLC coated. Okay, they're going to last really well. At 200,000 Ks, they're still going to be working pretty well, I believe. But we're not seeing those yet. We're not seeing a lot of that. So I can't tell you, just keep watching. Subscribe, bell on, right? Keep watching. We'll let you know as it happens. All the stuff you see on the 1kds, understand, they've been around for 16 years in Australia. That's why we can show you all the problems, right? We'll be able to show you problems on these. It'll be heaps of fun, but that's later. At the moment, they're all still very new. They haven't been messed around with. People don't know about how much their intake's caked up. That's why you haven't seen any of the EGRs yet. I know you want to see this stuff. Time, guys. Just sit patiently and wait. So possibilities, possible DBF problems, possible caked up EGR just like the other engine. You'll need to replace the injectors. The seats aren't going to last forever. You can get the same blow-by situation. The positive is the injectors are easier to change. You don't have to get the valve cover off. They're outside the engine, the fuel pipes and stuff like that, right? So we'll have more videos on that when it comes to time to replacing them. We don't see them at those sort of kilometers yet, right? It's not something we're focused on. When we start hearing about problems, that's when the focus will go in that direction. So I hope you can understand. Smaller engine, under more load. It's got timing, you know, there's no timing belt to just change it to simple and reliable. It's a chain, it's got a DPF, it's got EGR still, it's still got injectors, it's a smaller engine. These pistons are a completely different design to the 1kd, and of course they're an improvement. The engine's a lot quieter because it's got hydraulic lifters, okay? So you don't need to go and check your valve clearances. It's all automatic. It's a newer engine, and because of that, that's why it's quieter. That's why it can rev a little bit more, not like a petrol engine, but a bit more like, less like a diesel and more like a petrol engine. People will love it being quiet and like that. You will love that, but just understand, be prepared later for possible, but you've got a good warranty, but just understand, even if you're going to do what I'm doing, somebody else has got to own the vehicle later. I need to go through a lot of vehicles. We're going to buy a new one every few years. Just do as I say, not as I do. Just because I buy one doesn't mean that you should, okay? But if you want to go buy one, no problem, okay? But if you have issues, we need people to do that anyway. If you have issues, don't say, oh, but you know, thought it was okay. I'm telling you, if you've got the last of the 1kd, stick with it for now. I'm kind of like praying that when we get this latest 1gd, that I'm really impressed as I was with the test vehicle, with the software of the transmission was the big one that I found. I've got to tell you, I found it really annoying. Now, your everyday punter, the people that purchase this vehicle, they're going to love it. They're not going to know, they don't understand the mechanicals of the vehicle. But I found it really annoying how much slipping and the transmission torque converter couldn't stay locked, and kind of the lack of power compared to the heavy 1kd alongside here. I found it really annoying. So hopefully I'm impressed, and I'm not going to tell you after a day or a week. I'm going to give it a month or two, and I might give you a bit of a preliminary after a couple of weeks. But if I'm impressed and I go, okay, now if you use it the way I do, I think your EGR, your DPF, and all these sorts of things will be right for a long time. You've got a long one. I might even say go ahead and buy one now if you want. Or if things settle down with people not buying them, then there could be a bit of a rush, you know. We'll just see what happens. Anyway, guys, I hope that's answered a lot of the questions and a bit more talk about the comparison, the pros and cons of each engine. Like I always say, all the engines are good, but you've got to understand them because they've all got their pros and cons, if you know what I mean. There's problems with every engine. You've got to understand it and do the things that it takes to avoid those problems. I think we covered everything. Thanks for watching. I think I'm cooked. I need a drink. I need to get some work done. I've spent a lot of time, so please remember to give us the like button, the thumbs up now. I'm out of here. Thanks for watching, guys. See ya.